When people walk away from a woman, she often blames herself, wondering if she wasn't good enough, loving enough, loyal enough, or deserving enough. But Allah allows certain people to leave so she can finally see who truly remains. People leave because they get tired, distracted, or disconnected, but Allah stays because His love is not based on convenience. He stays through every silent tear, every late night fear, and every heavy moment she carries alone. His presence does not depend on her perfection, only on her sincerity. Sometimes Allah removes people from her life not to punish her, but to protect her. He knows the conversations she never heard, the intentions she never saw, and the betrayal she never recognized. The loneliness she feels is not abandonment, it is protection. It is Allah saying, "They were not written in your destiny, but I am." When the world grows quiet, His support becomes loud in the heart of a woman who puts her trust in Him. A woman may spend years trying to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. She gives love, loyalty, and effort, hoping they will see her worth. But Allah sees her worth long before anyone else does. He knows her sacrifices, her patience, her sincerity, the things the world takes for granted. When others walk away, Allah stays to remind her that He values what they overlooked. His closeness fills the emptiness left behind. The pain of being left alone often breaks her heart, but sometimes a broken heart is what makes space for Allah's light. When everyone distances themselves, Allah draws nearer. When no one listens, He hears. When no one asks how she feels, He knows. A woman's deepest heartbreak often becomes her doorway to the greatest closeness with her Creator. What people break, Allah rebuilds with more beauty and strength. There are moments when a woman feels invisible, when her efforts go unnoticed and her kindness is forgotten. But Allah sees every act of patience, every moment she chooses goodness, and every hardship she endures silently. People remember what benefits them. Allah remembers every detail of her journey. When others walk away from her value, Allah stays to honor it. Nothing done for His sake ever goes unseen. People walk away because their hearts are limited, but Allah's mercy is limitless. He stays when she is emotionally drained, spiritually exhausted, or physically overwhelmed. He stays when her smile fades and her tears fall. He stays when she doubts herself, questions her path, or struggles with her purpose. People love her in pieces. Allah loves her completely. People stay temporarily. Allah stays forever. A woman feels the presence of Allah most when the presence of people disappears. Silence becomes sacred. Loneliness becomes peaceful. Her dua becomes deeper. Her faith becomes stronger. And her soul becomes softer. She begins to rely on Allah in ways she never did before. The support she sought from people becomes a comfort she finds only in Him. What once felt like loss becomes transformation. When people leave, they take their opinions, judgments, and expectations with them. And that is when a woman finally breathes. She no longer carries the burden of pleasing others. She no longer shapes her worth around their validation. Allah stays to remind her that her value was never meant to be in the hands of people. He shows her that true dignity comes from Him, not from those who fail to appreciate her. Allah stays to show her that endings are not always losses. Sometimes they are beginnings. Beginnings of self-respect, of healing, of spiritual growth, beginnings of a heart that learns to depend on Allah more than anyone else. He stays to teach her that being alone with Him is far better than being surrounded by people who don't honor her soul. Solitude with Allah becomes strength, not sadness. And when she finally realizes that Allah is the one who stays, her heart becomes unshakable. She no longer fears losing people because she never loses Him. She no longer begs for attention, because His closeness is enough. She no longer breaks from disappointment because His decree is perfect. The moment she understands that Allah remains when everyone else walks away, she discovers a strength that cannot be taken from her. A strength born from faith, from resilience, and from knowing she is never truly alone. Her loneliness becomes the place. Allah heals her heart. Loneliness feels heavy for a woman because she gives so much of herself, her love, her time, her understanding, hoping someone will stay, someone will care, someone will hold her the way she holds everyone. But when no one steps in, she feels forgotten. What she doesn't realize is that loneliness is not a punishment from Allah. it is an invitation to return to the one who never leaves, the one who knows her heart far more deeply than anyone ever will. Her healing begins the moment she stops seeing loneliness as abandonment and starts seeing it as Allah's private meeting with her soul. In loneliness, Allah teaches her the difference between being alone and being held. She may feel physically by herself, but spiritually she is surrounded by mercy, watched by angels, and loved by the one who created her. The world may turn its back, but Allah turns her loneliness into a doorway of nearness. She begins to feel a type of peace that doesn't come from people, a type of comfort that doesn't fade when someone leaves. Loneliness becomes softness when it is filled with His presence. Loneliness becomes the mirror where Allah shows her who she truly is. Away from the noise, expectations, and judgments of others, she begins to rediscover herself. She listens to her heart without interruption, reflects on her wounds without shame, and dreams without fear. Allah removes people from her path so she can finally hear her own voice, the voice she silenced for years while trying to please everyone except herself. Through loneliness, Allah separates her from what distracted her and brings her closer to what strengthens her. The heart that is constantly surrounded by others becomes numb, but the heart that faces solitude learns depth. It learns sincerity, humility, and dependence on Allah. Her loneliness becomes a purification, removing the attachments that hurt her, exposing the wounds that need healing, and guiding her toward the peace she ignored while busy holding others. In her loneliness, she finally cries in a way she never allowed herself to before. Not the silent tears she hides from the world, but the deep tears that she spills before Allah alone, and those tears become healing. The Prophet ﷺ said that no tear shed for Allah's sake goes unnoticed. Each one becomes a means of mercy. It is in those private moments of heartbreak that Allah lifts her, comforts her, and strengthens her in ways no human can. Loneliness becomes the place where Allah teaches her emotional independence. She realizes she doesn't need constant reassurance from people, nor validation from family, nor attention from friends to feel complete. Her heart stops depending on creation and starts depending on the Creator. She becomes whole within herself, because her wholeness no longer depends on who stays or who leaves. It depends on Allah, who never leaves. It is during loneliness that Allah reveals the truth about people. She begins to see who truly cared and who only stayed for convenience. She sees who valued her soul and who only valued her presence. This clarity is painful, but it is protection. Allah removes illusions, so she stops giving her heart to those who don't deserve it. The loneliness that breaks her expectations rebuilds her discernment. Loneliness becomes the moment Allah removes the noise of the world and teaches her the language of silence. Silence becomes soothing, not scary. She begins to enjoy the calm, the stillness, the space to breathe. In that silence, she finds answers. She learns that her heart does not need constant noise to feel alive. It needs Allah. Her connection to Him grows stronger when the world grows quiet. In loneliness, Allah teaches her sabr, not passive patience, but the kind that strengthens her from the inside. She learns how to hold herself, how to calm herself, and how to speak to her soul with hope rather than fear. This patience becomes a shield that protects her from emotional exhaustion. She realizes she can endure more than she thought, not because she is strong, but because Allah is strengthening her. Loneliness becomes the place where she learns tawakkul, true reliance. She stops asking people to fix her or understand her. She turns to Allah for guidance, provision, clarity, and healing. She makes dua with sincerity, not distraction. She leans on Him with trust, not desperation. And the more she relies on Allah, the less she fears being alone. Her reliance transforms solitude into sanctuary. Through loneliness, Allah nurtures her self-respect. She begins to see her worth without needing anyone to affirm it. She realizes she deserves kindness, honesty, loyalty, and gentleness, not because others say so, but because Allah honors her. She stops accepting mistreatment out of loneliness and starts choosing dignity out of faith. Loneliness becomes the foundation of her boundaries. It is in loneliness that Allah teaches her to appreciate herself. She begins to enjoy her own company, her own thoughts, her own dreams. She realizes she has ignored her needs for too long while serving others. Allah slows her life down so she can finally reconnect with her own heart. Self-love becomes not arrogance but gratitude. Gratitude for the soul Allah created within her. Loneliness becomes the place where she heals from past wounds she never addressed. She finally faces the pain she buried beneath busyness. Old traumas rise, not to weaken her but to be released. Allah does not reopen wounds to hurt her, He reopens them to cleanse her. What she thought was punishment becomes deep, gentle healing that she needed decades ago. When she is alone, she finally learns the sweetness of dua. She speaks to Allah with words she could never share with people. She whispers fears, hopes, secrets and insecurities. And Allah responds not always with what she asks, but always with what she needs. Her dua becomes her strength, her loneliness becomes her prayer mat, her healing becomes her ibadah. Allah uses loneliness to detach her from harmful attachments. He removes the people who drained her, the places that triggered her, and the habits that limited her. Each removal hurts, but each one frees her. She begins to see that Allah is not taking things away to break her. He is clearing space to rebuild her on firmer, healthier ground. It is in loneliness that Allah places new wisdom in her heart. She becomes more reflective, more compassionate, more aware. She understands life differently. She forgives more easily. She judges less harshly. She learns humility and emotional maturity. Loneliness becomes a classroom where Allah teaches her what comfort never could. Through loneliness, Allah strengthens her identity. She stops defining herself by who loves her, who supports her, or who chooses her. She defines herself by her relationship with Allah. She walks with quiet confidence because she knows Allah sees her truth even when the world misunderstands her. Her identity becomes anchored in worship, not in worldly validation. Loneliness becomes her spiritual turning point. It is often during solitude that women experience their deepest transformation, reading more Quran, praying with more presence, crying in sujood with sincerity, reconnecting with modesty, or seeking knowledge. Allah uses solitude to bring her closer to her true self, the self that thrives in His obedience. As Allah heals her heart in loneliness, she begins to glow in ways no human love ever gave her. Her eyes soften, her voice becomes calmer, her smile becomes real, not forced. People wonder where her strength comes from. They don't know. Her strength was born in the nights she cried to Allah, in the moments she surrendered, and in the silence where only He could hear her heart. And when Allah finishes healing her, loneliness no longer scares her, it empowers her. She realizes she is never truly alone. The world may leave, but Allah remains. Hearts may change, but His mercy does not. And the woman who finds Allah in her loneliness becomes unbreakable, not because she has no pain, but because she knows who heals it. A woman's true strength grows through sabr and salah. Sabr is not just patience, it is a woman's silent courage. The strength she shows when her heart is breaking, but she refuses to fall apart. Many people think sabr means doing nothing, but in reality, it is doing the hardest thing, holding yourself together when everything around you is falling apart. And when the sabr is combined with salah, Allah transforms her pain into power. These two gifts become the pillars that hold her when the world feels too heavy. A woman's sabr is seen by Allah even when the world overlooks it. The days she wakes up despite exhaustion, the nights she cries yet continues praying, the moments she forgives even when her heart is hurting, all of it is recorded. People may not see her struggle, but Allah does. He honors every quiet sacrifice, every silent prayer, every tear she hides. Her strength is not loud, it is sacred. When a woman practices sabr, she learns to respond with wisdom instead of emotion. She stops reacting to every hurtful word, every disappointment, every misunderstanding. She rises above the chaos because she knows Allah is watching. She learns that patience does not mean weakness. It means choosing peace over revenge, dignity over anger, and faith over frustration. This discipline becomes her inner strength. Salah becomes the place where she pours out the emotions she can't express to anyone else. In sujood, she whispers her fears, her disappointments, her heartbreaks, and Allah comforts her in ways no human could. Her prayer mat becomes her refuge. the place where she gathers strength to face the world again. Salah becomes the heart's medicine, the mind's clarity, and the soul's anchor. Sabr teaches her how to hold her heart, but Salah teaches her where to place it in the hands of Allah. She realizes she cannot control what people do, but she can control how deeply she trusts Allah. Her strength grows when she learns to surrender outcomes, accept Allah's timing, and believe that His plan is always gentler and wiser than her own. Through sabr, she learns that healing takes time. She stops rushing her emotions. She allows herself to grow slowly, gently, beautifully. Every hardship becomes a chapter of growth, not destruction. Allah uses patience to replace her wounds with wisdom, her sadness with serenity, and her fear with faith. Her strength is shaped gradually, like a diamond under pressure. Salah reminds her that she is never alone. Even when no one checks on her, Allah listens. When no one comforts her, Allah responds. When no one understands her, Allah knows. Every time she stands before Him, she renews her hope. The weight she carries becomes lighter, not because the problem disappears, but because Allah lifts her heart above it. A woman's true strength appears in her ability to remain gentle while facing pain. Sabr protects her heart from bitterness. Salah protects her heart from emptiness. Together, they prevent her pain from turning into anger. Instead of becoming hard, she becomes wise. Instead of becoming cold, she becomes compassionate. Her strength refines her instead of hardening her. Sabr trains her to see beyond the moment. She understands that pain is temporary, but the reward for enduring it is eternal. She reminds herself, this hardship is not the end, it is a test. Her resilience grows because she knows Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear. Even when she feels weak, Allah sees a strength inside her that she does not yet recognize. Through salah, she builds a relationship with Allah that becomes stronger than any relationship with people. She no longer fears losing anyone because she knows she can never lose Him. She stops placing her emotional stability in the hands of others. Her peace comes from her connection to Allah, not from the presence of people. Sabr teaches her not to rush decisions. She learns to pause, reflect, and respond with wisdom rather than react with impulse. This habit protects her from regret, from unnecessary arguments, from emotional chaos. Her patience becomes a shield that guards her dignity and protects her peace. Her strength grows not from fighting but from choosing calm. Salah softens the heart that life tries to harden. When she recites Quran, her wounds open, but they open to be healed. When she bows, her pride melts. When she prostrates, her ego breaks. And in that brokenness, Allah builds her again, softer, stronger, wiser. Her strength comes not from being unbroken, but from being rebuilt by Allah Himself. A woman's sabr shines in the moments she could complain but chooses not to. She swallows her frustration, keeps her dignity, and remains kind, not because she is weak, but because she knows Allah is testing her. Every time she restrains herself, Allah raises her. Every time she chooses silence over arguments, Allah protects her. Every time she stays patient, Allah strengthens her. Through salah, she learns the beauty of discipline. She wakes up for Fajr even when she is tired. She prays on time even when she is busy. She ends her day with dua even when her mind is heavy. This discipline spills into her life. She becomes more organized, more focused, more intentional. Prayer teaches her structure, and structure becomes her strength. Sabr protects her from giving up too early. She keeps going even when she sees no progress. She keeps trying even when the results are delayed. She keeps believing even when her heart is tired. Allah honors this perseverance by opening doors she didn't expect. Patience becomes the key that unlocks blessings she thought were impossible. Salah reminds her that life is temporary. The problems she faces today will disappear one day, but the prayers she made will remain recorded with Allah forever. This perspective gives her peace. She stops drowning in temporary pain and starts swimming toward eternal reward. Her strength grows when she sees life not through fear but through faith. A woman's sabr teaches her emotional maturity. She learns not to let anger speak for her, sadness break her, or fear control her. She becomes more conscious of her reactions, more aware of her intentions, and more responsible with her words. Patience shapes her into a woman of depth, grace and self-respect. Salah becomes her escape from the world's chaos. In every rak'ah, she disconnects from stress and reconnects with Allah. The more she prays, the stronger her heart becomes. Issues that once overwhelmed her start to feel manageable. People who once hurt her no longer destroy her peace. Her resilience comes from the spiritual energy she collects in prayer. Sabr helps her detach from what harms her. She stops chasing people who don't value her, stops forcing relationships that drain her, and stops holding on to what Allah is trying to remove. Patience shows her that letting go is not loss, it is protection. Her strength grows when she chooses herself with dignity. Salah teaches her humility. She places her forehead on the ground, reminding herself that no matter how hard life becomes, she has a Lord who is greater than every challenge. This humility calms her pride, balances her emotions, and softens her heart. Her strength grows from submission, not stubbornness. A woman's sabr builds empathy. She understands others more deeply because she knows what pain feels like. Her experiences make her kinder, not colder. She learns to support others the way she wishes she had been supported. Her strength is not selfish, it becomes a source of comfort for those around her. Through salah, she builds consistency. Her routine becomes the foundation of her stability. When life feels unpredictable, prayer remains constant. When people disappoint her, prayer remains comforting. When her emotions shift, prayer remains grounding. This consistency becomes her anchor in a world full of uncertainty. Sabr teaches her that some battles are fought silently, not publicly. She doesn't need to announce her struggles. She doesn't need to prove her innocence. She doesn't need to explain herself to everyone. Patience teaches her that Allah sees all, and that is enough. Her quiet endurance becomes her silent power. Salah reminds her of her worth. When she stands before Allah, she realizes she is valued, honored, and loved no matter how people treat her. She no longer allows the world to define her worth. Her self-esteem grows not from compliments, but from her connection to the one who created her. Sabr strengthens her spirit. Each time she endures a hardship, she becomes more prepared for the next. She develops resilience that surprises even her. What once broke her now barely moves her. What once overwhelmed her now shapes her. Her strength is forged through patience, not comfort. Salah heals her heart faster than time does. Time may numb wounds, but prayer heals them. Each sajda removes a layer of sadness. Each recitation washes away heaviness. Each dua nourishes her hope. She becomes emotionally stronger because she heals spiritually, not superficially. And through sabr and salah together, a woman becomes unshakable. She no longer collapses under pressure, no longer fears loneliness, no longer breaks from disappointment. Her strength is no longer borrowed from people, it is built with Allah. She rises from her trials, not weaker, but wiser, calmer, and closer to her Lord. This is the strength that cannot be taken away. The strength that is born in patience and nurtured in prayer. The strength that makes her a woman of faith, dignity, and unbreakable resilience. Allah replaces the pain people give with the peace only He can give. When people hurt a woman, the wound often feels deeper than she expected. She wonders how someone she trusted could be the source of her pain, how someone she loved could be the one who broke her. But Allah never allows pain without purpose. When people take away her peace, Allah prepares to give her something better, a peace that doesn't depend on apologies, explanations, or closure. A peace that comes directly from Him, not from the hearts that failed her. People may break her heart, but Allah rebuilds it in ways that make it stronger and softer at the same time. He fills the emptiness they leave with patience, clarity, and understanding. What seemed like loss becomes protection, and what felt like betrayal becomes redirection. Allah shows her that every heartbreak from people is a doorway to a deeper connection with Him. And once she feels His peace, she realizes she never needed theirs. When Allah replaces her pain, He doesn't just remove sadness, He removes the attachment that caused it. He frees her from the emotional weight she carried for too long, the expectations that exhausted her, and the relationships that drained her without giving anything in return. Her heart becomes lighter not because people changed, but because Allah removed the need for them to validate her happiness. That freedom becomes her healing. Allah gives her a peace that is silent but powerful, the kind that lets her sleep at night even when life feels uncertain, the kind that softens her heart without making her weak. the kind that makes her smile without needing a reason. This peace is not built on perfect circumstances, it is built on perfect trust. She learns to calm her fears by remembering that Allah is with her, guiding her, protecting her, and carrying what she no longer needs to carry alone. The pain people cause often teaches her the difference between temporary comfort and divine comfort. Human reassurance fades, but Allah's comfort remains. People's support comes and goes, but Allah's support is constant. She learns to stop chasing comfort from those who wounded her and start seeking peace from the one who heals her. Her heart begins to settle, not because life becomes easy, but because Allah settles it Himself. Allah replaces pain by surrounding her with blessings she once overlooked. A quiet morning, a peaceful prayer, a moment of clarity, a newfound strength, all of these become signs of His mercy. She realizes that while people may have taken her happiness, they did not take her ability to rebuild it. Allah returns joy in ways she never expected. Sometimes through new people, sometimes through new opportunities, and sometimes through a new version of herself. Pain from people makes her wiser, but peace from Allah makes her whole. She begins to understand who deserves her heart and who only deserves her silence. She sets boundaries with courage, not bitterness. She chooses dignity over desperation. The woman who once accepted emotional crumbs now protects her soul with grace because Allah taught her her worth in the moments people made her feel worthless. Allah replaces pain with peace by showing her that everything taken from her was replaced with something better: inner strength, deeper faith, clearer intuition, and a softer soul. She no longer looks back wishing things were different. She looks forward knowing Allah will write something better. Her healing becomes a testimony that no human heartbreak can overpower Allah's mercy. The peace Allah gives her allows her to forgive without reopening wounds. She doesn't forgive because people deserve it, she forgives because she deserves peace. She lets go without anger, moves on without resentment, and heals without seeking revenge. Allah takes the bitterness from her heart and replaces it with serenity. Her soul becomes too peaceful to be disturbed by what once shattered her. And when Allah replaces her pain with His peace, she becomes a woman transformed. She no longer fears heartbreak because she knows Allah heals. She no longer fears loss because she knows Allah replaces. She no longer fears being alone because she knows Allah stays. The peace He gives becomes her shield, her strength, and her silent miracle, a peace the world cannot give and no one can ever take away. When a woman learns to depend only on Allah, her heart stops collapsing every time someone disappoints her. She no longer waits for people to choose her, understand her, defend her, or stay with her. Her emotional stability is no longer in human hands, it is held by the one who never leaves. People become a part of her life, not the center of it. And that shift turns her from fragile to unbreakable, because her foundation is no longer made of people who change, but of a Lord who never changes. Depending on Allah teaches her that every blessing she has ever received came from Him, not from the people who were merely a means. So when someone leaves, she does not crumble. She understands that Allah simply removed the means but kept the source. She learns that losing someone cannot take away what was written for her. Her heart becomes calm because she trusts the giver, not the gift. No human loss can destroy a woman who knows Allah replaces everything with something better. When she depends on Allah, she stops giving people the power to define her worth. She no longer breaks when someone misunderstands her, judges her, or criticizes her. She knows her value comes from her character, sincerity, and faith, not from opinions that change with moods. Allah becomes her witness, her validator, her source of dignity. And a woman whose worth comes from Allah cannot be diminished by anyone. True dependence on Allah teaches her to let go with grace. She stops chasing love that wounds her, friendships that drain her, and relationships that weaken her. She trusts that Allah removes what was harming her and protects her from what she cannot see. She stops forcing what is not written for her and embraces the peace that comes with surrender. This surrender makes her strong because she no longer fears losing people, she fears only losing Allah's pleasure. When she depends on Allah, her heart becomes steady in a way people cannot shake. Words that once hurt her deeply now barely touch her. Actions that once broke her now teach her. Situations that once overwhelmed her now strengthen her. She finds peace in prayer, stability in patience, and clarity in faith. The storms around her stop breaking her because Allah has become the anchor within her. Depending on Allah teaches her emotional independence. She learns to comfort herself through dua, calm herself through salah, and guide herself through Quran. She no longer waits for others to lift her. She lifts herself through her connection with Allah. This self-reliance rooted in faith makes her powerful, not arrogant, but spiritually grounded. She knows she can survive any sadness because Allah is enough. A woman who depends on Allah learns that rejection is protection. Every person who walked away was written to leave for a reason. Some to teach her, some to test her, and some to redirect her. Instead of breaking, she grows. Instead of closing her heart, she refines it. Instead of collapsing, she rises with more wisdom. Allah turns her wounds into wings, allowing her to fly higher than she could when she depended on people. When she depends only on Allah, she stops begging for love, attention, and reassurance. She knows that what is meant for her will reach her effortlessly, and what is not meant for her will never belong to her, no matter how tightly she holds it. This belief frees her from desperation and fear. She begins to live with dignity, strength, and quiet confidence. Her heart becomes too secure to be shaken by temporary relationships. Depending on Allah empowers her to love without losing herself. She gives kindness, compassion, and loyalty, but she doesn't attach her entire being to anyone except her Creator. She can love deeply and still remain whole. She can care sincerely and still protect her heart. She can give without expecting, forgive without weakening, and walk away without breaking. Her strength comes from knowing that her heart belongs to Allah first, and once Allah becomes her true support, she becomes a woman no heartbreak can destroy, no loss can collapse, and no disappointment can shatter. Her strength is not loud, it is calm, steady, and rooted in faith. She becomes unbreakable not because life stops hurting her, but because her heart now heals through Allah, lives through Allah, and rises through Allah. When she depends only on Him, she is never broken again. She is rebuilt, protected, guided, and made strong by the one who loves her most.